Hi everyone, Carlos from Magfed Solutions. We're going to go ahead and review the Psiops branded paintballs. Paintballs made specifically for the Magfed Paintball application. Our thanks to the management and staff out at Tanks Paintball for allowing use of their chrono area for the test shown in this video. So we've had this paint for about 2 weeks, and honestly, we're having a hard time finding the downside to this paint. It's round, has a beautiful fill, holds up remarkably well under spring tension, and comes from people devoted to returning quality to paintball. So the very first thing we wanted to do was go ahead and torture test the paintball under constant spring tension. We went ahead and loaded up GI2 Star as well as the Psiops paint into the Gryzen mags meant specifically for first strike rounds to torture test them. After the paint had been in the magazine for about an hour, we were definitely able to notice some changes to both paintballs. The GI2 Star definitely showed the trademark mark across the paintball from the detent of the magazine, holding it in place while the spring pushed it forward. The Psiops ball, however, did not show that specific mark at all, but did show some very small dimples forming on it after being under spring tension for, again, close to an hour. Okay, so for this next comparison, what we're going to do is we're going to take the Psiops ball here in the center. We're going to take this GI ball. We're going to take the current reigning Magfed ball, Graffiti. All right, let's just compare them here. I mean, just looking, you can definitely see why up to now Graffiti has been the preferred ball for Magfed. It's a very round ball, very thick shell. You know, it'll stand up very well under pressure. Here's the Psiops ball. We'll talk about the differences between that and the Graffiti here in a second. But here's the ball that probably causes a lot of issues in the Magfed community, the GI ball. A lot of people complain about this paintball. I don't seem to have a lot of the issues that a lot of people have. I don't know if my ball handling techniques are better than the average Magfed player, but a lot of people complain. They say these don't handle very well under pressure. I can definitely see, I don't know how well the camera captures this, but I can definitely see that it's not a really round ball. Just squeezing it, you can feel there's air bubbles inside of the ball. The shell doesn't seem to be too thick, but again, I don't seem to have any problems with this paintball. I can see how others would if they leave them loaded in their magazine for extended periods. If they leave a gap between the ball and the top of the stack as they load it into the chamber, that pressure rushing up will crack the ball. So I can definitely see how people would have issues with this paintball. So we have these two currently out on the market, of which this is the preferred paintball. Now we have the Psiops ball. Yeah, the seam just seems to be, you know, much better put together. I mean, here, if you look at the Graffiti, you can see, you know, I mean, you can run your fingernail across it and really feel that hard seam all the way down. And it doesn't seem to be a lot of overlap between where one side of the shell met the other side. The Psiops ball, you know, you have a good mating between the two halves. Here in the center, it is more of a round ball. Definitely more of a round ball compared to the GI. Compared to the graffiti, they're comparable. So let's see what we get when we crack these eggs. Let's crack the GI ball. Oh, it busted right along the seam. There's our fill from the GI. Break. Graffiti seems a little milky. That shell's nice and hard. It's a good hard shell. Definitely a eggshell consistency there. Here's the Psiops paint, which will be orange. And so, if just by looking at these, we can definitely see that the graffiti paint is really, really thick, like super thick. The GI paint fill seems to be really watery. I don't know if the camera is picking this up very well. Maybe I can do some post editing and get you guys in here where you can see it a little better. You can actually see there's some separation of the components inside the paint here. Right? The Psiops paint shows some separation, but it's not nearly as defined as this here. Just looking at it, it definitely looks like the Psiops paint, whatever they use to fill the GI ball, it looks like the Psiops paint is close to that as far as the fill. It definitely appears as though the Psiops ball is like a combination of the GI fill with the Vulcan graffiti shell. So some field owners have said that the Vulcan paint dries differently on surfaces. It doesn't really clean off real well when it rains, which is why they chiefly say they use GI paint, that the GI paint just washes off of the surface a lot better. So if we could, you know, find the happy medium here and find the paintball that has this fill with this shell for us Magfed players, I definitely think we've hit a home run in making both field owners and the Magfed player community happy here. One other thing I'd like to mention is that I was told that the paint that's currently out in circulation is a spring and summer shell paint. So those of you who are getting negative results, maybe where it's a little colder, the paint right now that you're shooting, the Psiops paint that you're shooting, is not really intended for the extreme cold weather. So stay tuned for a winter shelled option. Down here in Houston, Texas, we've been having some abnormally warm weather here recently. So I've had zero adverse effects from this paint down here in this warm weather. So I have nothing but love for what I'm seeing right now out of the Psiops branded paintballs.